about next is, you've been a leader for your whole career, really. In the Air Force, you were leading teams of 60, I believe I was reading. And so leadership to me is such an important thing, especially through a time like this. So here you are again in a leadership role, which you're comfortable in, clearly, you enjoy being in, and you do it well. How are you leading your teams, your people now, and how has that changed, if at all?
Um, so Feedback Now is kind of like, we call it a startup unit inside Forrester. And I would say, so a couple of things. One is my basic formula hasn't changed. My formula um, is that I don't try to do everything myself. My formula is surround myself with people who are better than me. And my expertise is in making sure that that team gels and that they're enabled to do what they do. So for example, my right-hand person in this whole thing is the CEO of the AI company we acquired on the same day as Feedback Now. While I've been a CIO most of my career, and enabling product, I'd never run a product before, so I'm not going to be all arrogant and jump in and go, I know everything. I started working with this guy. His name is Perry Betty. I started working with Perry, and I realized he's really smart, really good, really understands speed and technology and product and selling and all this other stuff. And I really made sure that it wasn't like it's almost like a partnership between us, rather than it's not almost, it is a partnership kind of thing between us. Technically he reports to me, but we're a two-person team. I'm trying to help, what I'm mostly focused on is bridging the gap, the bigger strategic things with the clients and being the C-level interface, but, helping with how Feedback Now interfaces with Forrester. And he's sort of running all the operations and putting together all that stuff. And my formula has always been like, surround yourself with people who are better than you, who fill the gaps that you don't have. Don't try to be something you're not, and be confident that they're not, if they're a person who has the ambition and style that they want to, kill you and take over the spaceship, they're not good. But, people who are smarter than you, but who can work with you, who will be loyal to you, and are easy to work with and whatever. So, it's one of the reasons why the person that replaced me at Forrester in the CIO slot also worked for me. And that was my third CIO successor. The other two.
Yeah, I do.
One's at the Museum of Modern Art, the other's at the Museum of Natural History, and now I have my third CIO of Forrester. To me, that's the proof that you surround yourself with really smart people who can replace you very easily. And then the other thing I've noticed is that whether it was MoMA or the Air Force or up to this point Forrester, I would always say hey, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. We'll eventually, things are tough to slog through. We'll get there, Mm-hmm. The difference with Feedback Now is that I don't have time for the marathon anymore. It's a different type of business than a big burly museum or the U.S. Air Force or Forrester Research, which has been around for 30 years. It's a fast-moving product, in a COVID world where everything's changing, like we just talked about. I don't have time for all that. I've got to move fast, and that's been probably the biggest challenge so far. Is how do I switch as a leader from a guy who can win marathons to a guy who can win sprints? And I don't have all the answers yet.
Yeah.
Next interview on that one. We're starting to get there. I'm learning that. That'll be the next set of learnings.
I want to come back to that in a minute about, where do you get your inspiration from? What leaders, where do you get your inspiration from to be the leader that you are? But before I do that, I want to ask you quickly about hiring, because people, I'm finding, are very careful now. They want to be able to work remote. They want to be able to be virtual. They don't want to be told they have to go into an office. And if they're going to go into an office, they want to know with those buttons that they can have comfort, control, and agility inside that space. So what's your game plan there?
As far as do we hire, when we hire, do we hire, what kind of people do we go after, or where do I see the world going, or?
Is it going to be a virtual company?
I will say this. I've been on calls with clients. Like, I'm not an analyst, but I put together a company at Forrester. I put together systems where we were able to switch virtual on a snap. We went from, we had a lot of work from home people to begin with, maybe I think like 10% or something. Maybe it was bigger than that. But when I came to Forrester, I switched us to, I tried to optimize on collaboration and cloud and, and accessibility. I remember a slide where I was like, it's about remote, it's about on the go, it's about accessibility, the collaboration, productivity. Those are the things we have to optimize on. So we switched to all sorts of tools that were flexible, and we use them constantly. So the culture of the company, that's not all me. That's like, George Colony, the CEO of Forrester, he absolutely, we prioritized, not just me, but my boss, the CEO and founder of the company, prioritized productivity, accessibility, over almost everything else, So when I got to the company, it was like, I really need you to revamp everything. Everything is really hard to get to. So 9 years ago, we went full cloud, all these different tools to, work on, offline, online, virtual, video. We were a very video, heavy company to begin with. So when COVID happened and we decided to close the offices, it was like, bang, everyone didn't miss a beat when we went over. I've talked to a lot of clients and about their switches being a little more difficult or whatever, but everyone seems to say kind of the same thing, which is that it's a bit cultural. Like, there is definitely a person, a prototype, a personality that works better. There are, reasons why you're more productive at home and less.
Yeah.
Here's one little niche one, which is that since we were so virtual, we would have executive team meetings often. And, I live in New York. I'm not always in our headquarters in Cambridge, Mass. So, and other people are other places. Inevitably, you'd have like, 75% of the people in the room and 25% of the people on video. And the people in the room, inevitably, invariably, always sort of blow off the people in the video. And there's private conversations and people in the video like, but I have to, And one good thing about this experience is that people who never had to work on video before now have newfound respect for the person on video. It has leveled the playing field. Everyone's on video.
Yeah.
So you learn new ways to go, I want to speak next. You can't, it's hard to interrupt. So it's actually brought out, I think, some good behaviors and experiences. Will everyone go back to a virtual, I certainly think there will be some companies who are like, I don't need the office. The office is so 2010s.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
already happening.
Remember companies in 2009 saying, we don't own a server. That's so 90s, And we're like, wow, a company that doesn't own a server. Wow. Now it's going to be like, we don't have an office. We don't need one. I don't know if our company is going to do that because just the nature of it. I think a certain percentage, whatever we were before, and I can't remember, let's say we were 15% before, I think that number is going to go way up.
Yeah.
And I think that's not a Forrester thing. That's whatever your percentage of work from home was before, it's going to be higher.
So let's say you had a candidate that you really wanted.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't work in the actual physical space, they would only work remotely and come in, maybe once a month, if need be, or for big conferences, or which they exist anymore. But what would you do? Would you still go for that hire?
It depends on the position, obviously. I would say before, we had a lot of people, we had a lot of work from home people before. And some of those were people that migrated home, someone, they moved from Cambridge to wherever. And we were like, fine, we love you so much, you'll work from home.
Right.
Other people we hired and they were so good, we were like, all right, let's let them work from home. Some positions you can't. But again, I would say we and everyone else are far more apt to go, I like this candidate, even though they work from home, I think they're better overall picture. I think I could be off, and it could be that, it becomes not a factor at all in the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It also, like, Zoom, WebEx, they got pretty good pretty fast. They're going to get better.
Yeah,
They're
for
just going to
sure.
get better and better. It's going to be a better experience, clear experience. You're going to see, I don't know if you saw Westworld, but their technology is such that it's like you feel like you're in the room.
Mm.
Like they're literally you, like that's how it just all projects out. Like
Yeah.
why wouldn't that be the future,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
So